Thank you. Mr. Waltz is recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And here's where I think we're really talking past each other. This war is not done. It's not over. This is a war against Islamic extremism. It's a war against an ideology. And just as it took decades, not 20 years, not 30 years, many more, to defeat the idea of communism, to defeat the idea of fascism, it's going to take decades to defeat the idea of Islamic extremism. General McKenzie, you testified yesterday, Al-Qaeda is still at war with us. Do you stand by that statement?
Absolutely, Representative.
D.N.I. Haynes, Biden's Director of National Intelligence, briefed the Congress that Al-Qaeda fully intends to attack the West again if given the chance. The head of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden's former deputy, has pledged allegiance to the head of the Taliban. Except now they have an entire state to work with, an army, an air force, a functioning international airport, and I think if things continue on the path they are, possibly billions in international currency reserves. So, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, we're not done with this war. I would have thought we would have learned the lesson from Iraq. I would have thought, Mr. Secretary, you would learn the lesson from Iraq, where we pulled out in 2011. Mr. Chairman, you issued a statement praising that pullout as ending that war, and yet we found ourselves 3 years later with soldiers going back in. So, but let's look at the situation, because I think the American people need to understand this. Here we have Iraq. We pulled out, led to the rise of the ISIS caliphate, which was obviously a morphed entity from Al-Qaeda. Look at all of the bases that we had to deal with when we went back. We had bases in the Gulf. We had bases in Kuwait. We had bases in Turkey, in Jordan, of course in Israel, allied bases in Cyprus. We had allies on the ground in the Kurds. We didn't let ISIS take over the government in Baghdad and the army and all of the functions of the state. We had all of these assets to work with to go clean up that mess. And how many soldiers and lives did we lose from cleaning up that mistaken withdrawal, Mr. Chairman? But let's transition over here to Afghanistan. What do we see? Do we have, General McKenzie, do we have a single base in Afghanistan now?
We have no base in Afghanistan.
Do we have a base in any country neighboring Afghanistan?
We do not.
Do we have any local allies approaching the capability of the Kurds?
We do not. There may be some options, but we do not.
We have the Northern Alliance. The Panjshir has been taken. Frankly, they're being slaughtered right now as we speak with our weapons, with our damn equipment. Our allies are being slaughtered. Every morning we wake up to beheading videos, to executions, to people being hunted down with our own database. But when and if you have to present options to the president, how many soldiers are we going to lose? Because we have no allies on the ground, we have no bases in the region. Now we're going to get to really the crux of the issue, which is over-the-horizon counterterrorism. Those drones have to fly all the way around Iran and all the way up Pakistan and lose 70 to 80% of their fuel before they even get anywhere near a target. And we just saw from the failed attack, the botched attack, that you have to have multi-intelligence confirming what that drone operator is seeing. I've called it in, and I know that drone operator would have appreciated somebody on the ground saying, no, that's a civilian, don't pull that trigger. So I appreciate your candor in saying how difficult this is going to be, but the President of the United States is selling this country a fiction that we can do over here with nothing, what we're doing over here with neighboring base access, with allies on the ground, and with ocean access. That is a fiction that I think you all need to own, and we need to be honest with the American people. I am just livid at the fact of the future Americans that are going to have to go back to clean up this mess. We are watching this horror movie that Representative Slotkin experienced, that we all experienced after Iraq. The president continues to say, well, we can do what we do in Somalia. We can do what we do in Syria. Mr. Secretary, you just briefed about a strike in Syria. We have a lot more capability there. One more question. Do we have any evidence, intelligence or otherwise, of Pakistani troops on the ground, intelligence officers, air support, or any troops on the ground assisting the Taliban, or command and control assisting the Taliban offensive?
I'd prefer to answer that question in closed session.
I'll take that as a yes. And Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Waltz, your time has expired.
that's not going to go to a civil war. It's going to go to a regional war.
And